Hi, I'm John.
And I'm Andrew, and welcome nerds and nerdettes to episode 8 of Nerdborne. This episode, me and John are pretty much just going to have a little open debate about various topics. We're going to jump from like best video games and maybe even talk about a lot of comic book characters and anime characters here and there. But me and John have known each other for pretty much all our lives, and we've always had open debates on video games, comic books, and anime, all nerd things. So we figured, fuck it, we might as well do a little bit of argument here. I mean,
Mm.
me and him are in different states, so you don't have to worry about micro thrones being thrown or anything like that.
No, this will be a civil debate with no violence, but there probably will be name calling. That's just how
Just
we
a little
do.
bit.
You know.
They're like, we name call even when there isn't any debate going on.
Mm.
So,
Hey, if you can't
you
razz
know
your
what I-
friends, they really your friends?
yes, exactly. Then you defend them behind their back.
Oh, yep. But
Yep.
while we were, talking about, coming up with a subject, I brought up something, and Andrew disagreed, so we're gonna make that the opening topic because fuck him. Uh, and
Already, you starting already, huh? Already
oh
with the
hey,
gloves.
hey, the disclaimers are out of the way. All right, we're going in.
All right, you vagina.
But when we were coming up topic or with topics, recommended best Final Fantasy game. Not our favorite, but what we think is objectively the best. And Andrew said something, I said something, and he said, "Well, you're just wrong." And it's like, "Okay, bitch, we're doing this then." So, Andrew, what did you say?
I said 10.
All
10's
right.
not my favorite, but if I'm looking at it objectively of all the Final Fantasy games, what they had to offer, did they live up to the hype? How was the gameplay? How was the storyline? How are the characters, etc., etc.? And if I'm looking at it objectively, I gotta say 10.
Okay.
It's just that every single one of those things I just named, it's got like any other Final Fantasy, even though eight's my favorite, there's things that I could poke holes in eight that I could see why people would not like it. You know what I mean? So if I'm really looking at it objectively, I gotta say 10.
Now, coincidentally, 10 is actually my favorite Final Fantasy, but even objectively, I honestly think that 9 is probably the best. And I'm like, just like you said, first I'd like to point out that I really kind of get the feeling that 9 was the last real Final Fantasy. Like from 10 onward, the style of game kind of radically shifted. Yes, there's still turn-based RPGs. Yes, they're, intensely narrative experiences. Yes, these are things are true, but the way the game handles and the style of it really changed.
Mhm.
Like from 10 onwards, you didn't see kind of like the Super Nintendo era where there was an overworld and you could wander around and shit like that. It became a lot more linear, a lot more scripted, and a lot less explorative, and I would argue even maybe a little bit less immersive. Like, one of the things that I absolutely love about Nine is that the world feels lived in, like it exists beyond the player's interaction with it. And I don't get the same feeling for 10, and I realize that's kind of narratively important, but yeah.
Well, again, just be wrong. Every single thing you just said that makes me put 10 above 9, I think the opposite way around. I think 10 was like the turning point for Final Fantasy, where it was leaving behind that kind of like Super Nintendo PS1 era and kind of taking the next step towards gaming and what the gameplay. It was new, it was refreshing. They weren't kind of like living in the past. That every single other past 9 and down kind of do. You know what I mean? Like
Mm,
six, when 6 came out, Final Fantasy just like blew over the new nerd world, and they just kept like these certain aspects in it because
mhm,
I think they were like too afraid to go outside of it.
mm,
And then when 10 came out, it had like all these new aspects. So of course, like visually just stunning for the PS2. I mean, you can even
yeah.
launch your PS2 to this day and it still looks beautiful. And it's like what, 16 years old?
Coincident,
Uh,
yeah. Well, coincidentally, I say that 10 has not aged nearly as well as 9 has, graphically.
see, again, you're just wrong. I,
Uh, well, here,
I think 10. I think 10 out of all the Final Fantasies, hands down, aged the best.
hmm.
Like I could still to this day, like I could go hop on Steam and download Final Fantasy X and play it for 2 days straight, no problem.
Well, I mean, they
Like
did
the
the
game
HD
just aged
remake.
so well. What's that?
They did the HD remake of 10, so I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
yes, you
Oh
could.
yeah, that's true. That no, I'm just saying that the gameplay style too. Like that's it's aged so well out of all the other ones. I remember that my dad, he's a huge Final Fantasy fan, and
Hmm.
I remember he got like really nostalgia off of 7. And I didn't know if people could know this, but you could play PS1 games on the PS3, and I had the PS3 at the time. And a friend of mine had the original copy of Final Fantasy 7, and I
Oh,
went and I launched it in, and my dad looked at it, and he's like, "That's not the game I remember." I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Is this like an older version or something?" I'm like, "No, that's the same fucking game that you
mhm.
played. It just didn't hold water because you're used to new graphics and everything." And I'm sure that's happened with just about every gamer out there that's above age like 15 or whatever.
Yeah.
But 10 is still like out of all the Final Fantasies, still holds the best water.
Oh, here's where I disagree. And uh, okay, so 10 did a more realistic art style. Uh, okay, 8 was the first one that really tried for any degree of realism. And the last time we talked about 8, we both admitted that nowadays the game just looks like shit.
Yes. Even the remaster version kind of looks a little sketchy.
Yeah. And I would argue the same is true of 10. Yes, it's a little bit more fantasy than 8, but they still tried to do realism. They still tried to do, realistic character models and whatnot. And it doesn't, it has a more photorealistic art style. And on older graphics, man, that doesn't work. Whereas 10 has a very distinct art style. It has, the super deformed characters. So, uh, when you have a distinct art style like that, the game tends to look better, even 5, 10 years down the road.
Mm. Yeah, I could get that.
Like,
That's
let's.
the reason why it's better,
Mm,
though.
well, no, like the way I see it is that okay, if you took Final Fantasy 9 and Final Fantasy 10 and did the whole remake on them with modern graphics and stuff like that, yes, 10 is going to look better. But if we're comparing the original games, then 10 kind of that's it. 10's going to look like shit nowadays. It's just the progression of technology. Yeah, it was beautiful when it came out. I also thought the same thing about Final Fantasy 13.
Oh,
And
come on now. If we don't put 10 and 13 in the same sentence, dude.
hold
That's
on, hold on.
fucking blasphemy right there.
Allow me this. Say what you will about the quality of 13's gameplay, you have to admit it was a very pretty game.
The graphics, yeah, the graphics looked amazing, but that's on every Final Fantasy title ever. You
True.
know what I mean? Like they're just really just calling an apple right there.
True, but I mean, it. Okay, yeah. This is kind of bad, or this is a
Point
point.
one, Andrew.
Well, I mean, yeah. Okay, we'll just go ahead and do that. Ding. Um.
Okay, I'll give you another reason beyond like visually why Final Fantasy X is objectively the best, and it was the ability to also like switch your characters in and out of battle
mm,
during the battle. You know what I mean? I think like I was trying to say earlier, it just took that next step in the Final Fantasy of trying to like make it its own unique gameplay, and
right.
that was just like a lot of fun. It was not only more convenient to help train. You know what I mean? Keep a level with all your characters. You know what I mean? But it was
Hmm.
also help make the game a little bit more fluid.
Okay. Well,
You know what I mean?
I contend that we lose a little bit of difficulty and fluidity in doing that because that's it. In Final Fantasy IX, having your four characters, you had to construct the party. You kind of had to think ahead. You had to monkey around, try and create the best team. Where Final Fantasy X, it was just sort of like, okay, so and so's not doing it, switch them out. So and so's not doing it, switch them out. And while it added a certain strategic element, and I would like to point out that or that's it. Final Fantasy X is my favorite, and part of it is because of that combat system. Um,
Ding.
well, hold on. I contend that there is something lost with composing a party and having that be, you know, having to work around your party composition.
Mm. Well, I thought another thing about it, Final Fantasy X too, was like the leveling up system. That's another reason why I think objectively that it tends the best is because the leveling up system is one of the things that have gotten me into RPGs to this even to this day. That
Mm,
was one of the things I played when I was a kid that I was like you really had to. It was the first time I learned that you really had to like plan what you want that character to do. You want this character to be an attacker, healer, and so on and so forth. And like it was one of the one of the aspects in the into it that I've always loved. I still love doing it to even to this day when I'm like upgrading Orin and he gets up there and he finally starts hitting stronger and it just you get that like good feeling from it that all your grinding went into play. You know what I mean?
uh, well, okay. On the other hand, I contend that what you get in customization, you also lose in just having a direct toolbox. Like when it came to Final Fantasy IX, okay, if you needed to just go, okay, this thing needs to fall down, you throw Steiner or Amaranth in there. If you need a more endurance-based party, then you use Echo or Garnet. You had
Mm.
that's it. You could set your party up to do a specific thing and work around it. And I
Okay.
say that or that also created much more interesting strategic choices about how you were going to handle an encounter.
Um, I've always found it like kind of annoying.
Mm.
I don't know. Maybe it's just my style of gameplay. You know what I mean? I like setting up a certain character to have like just his certain play style. Like I've always liked that. You know what I mean?
Well, Final Fantasy IX does that for you right off the rip.
Yeah,
Your character does
exactly.
a certain
It doesn't
job.
let you select shit. Where's the customization, man? It doesn't RPG or not.
Well, I mean, that's a future podcast episode. Take a drink. Um, Japanese and Western RPGs have really devolved or diverted, not devolved. They've really diverted away from each other. Like, let's face it, a Western RPG is much more a true role playing experience, whereas something like Final Fantasy or the Final Fantasy series and Eastern RPGs in general are much more you are playing a character through a set story already and you don't have any impact on the narrative.
Yeah, I get that. I get. Well, let me ask you this then.
Hmm.
Looking at it objectively,
Hmm.
wouldn't it be looking at it objectively, wouldn't it be better to have like the option to do the customization than to have the option not to and they just give you it and be like, hey, these are these guys, this is what they do, enjoy.
Well, there's pros and cons to both. Okay, the more customization you give a player, the more likely they are going to be able to become completely overpowered. It's just I can't remember who said it. I think it might have been Mark Rosewater. Anyway, uh, there is a sentiment in game design that the more customization you give a player, the more they are going to completely optimize the fun out of the game.
Okay.
Uh, that's it, because the more customization you give, the more broken you can make a character, and or the more broken you can make a character or your party and whatnot, to where they have an answer to every situation. uh,
Yeah.
if you remove if you give more customization to the player, that gives them more freedom of expression, and they get to play the way they want to. That's certainly a pro. But if you limit the player in what they can do with less customization, then what you can do is you can craft a tighter experience.
Okay. I just feel like you're looking at like a big bag of shit and you're like, but look at the lining that it's like holding and the way the box is and like look at that bag. It's just like looks so pretty. Just because the bag hypothetically could sound good doesn't mean that it's still not filled with shit.
Mm, I think that's a disingenuous argument.
I think if you did like a 100-person survey of Final Fantasy players and you asked them the question that I asked you, I think like 87 of them will go my way.
Mm,
Oh fuck it, 95 of
wow. Well,
them.
here I would take a further
And
step that I think that a lot of people would argue that six is the best objectively, but that's not what we're here talking about. And frankly, if they said six was objectively the best, uh, yeah, I'd probably agree with them honestly. Like, well, I only picked nine because I think it's better than 10.
you think 9 is better? Oh my god, dude. My ears are fucking bleeding right now.
Wow, wow, cry me a river.
Jesus Christ. Fucking 9's better than 10.
Okay, here, let's switch it up a little bit. Is six better than 10?
No. No, I don't think
Oh,
so. Yeah, I like, dude, I like 6, but it's kind of like it's kind of like this. This is what you're doing. You're lucky. You're going to get in the car from 1957, and you're looking at it, and it's got that nostalgic feeling and everything, right? But if you
mm,
go get a fucking Tesla from today and compare it to that, that fucking car is just gonna look dumb. It's not that car's fault. It's just builder. It's older, and so on and so forth. But still, like it's not doing like the Tesla is just still better all around car. If you're not saying it objectively, then you're just being ignorant. You know what I mean? That's the way I feel about 6 and 10. I don't think 6 is bad. I think 6 is it's got its own legendary status that is very well deserved. But 10's just got better technology, and it's just a better all around game. And it's not six's fault. It's just that we've evolved. That's the way I look at it.
you know what? I'm actually gonna agree with that because yeah, the craft of game design has just evolved in general. So yeah, like I get that.
Slam, fucking dunk.
Well,
And the survey says, ding, 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 ding. Andrew's the winner.
oh, hardly.
Oh, just wait, dude. I have my banner already shipped out to you through Amazon, and you're gonna get it. It's gonna be a big banner that says Andrew's right. Andrew's right.
Well, probably not anytime soon. I'm still getting deliveries for shit I ordered for Christmas. Thanks, Trump, for trying to systematically dismantle the postal system. But that's not.
Yeah,
This isn't J&A. This is Nerdborne. So video games, not
yeah.
politics.
Yeah, I don't want to hear you complain. I still can't get my hands on a fucking PS5.
Neither can I. Shit.
Yeah. All right. Well, I feel like we've wrapped that one up pretty good. There is another one that I want to bring up.
Oh
Not
Lord.
only have I had this fucking argument for like I don't know, I want to say like 15 years, maybe even longer, but I've had it on the internet. I don't know how many times I've had this fucking argument, but Goku versus Superman. Yes, Goku versus Superman. Anytime you talk about like Goku or Superman on Facebook, always going to be that person that pops in to start this argument. It's
Yep.
inevitable. It's like it's it's just like the way cats and dogs hate each other. Goku versus Superman. Who do you got?
Uh, okay. Who are we talking? Or let's let's define the parameters. What exactly are we discussing? Are we just saying who's the better character? Who would win in a fight? Because there's a lot of ways this could go.
Hmm. That is very true. I'll keep it simple for right now, but like there is obviously like certain that's especially if even if you're talking fight,
Mm,
like who's winning a fight? Which Superman are we talking about?
yeah,
Which version of Goku? So on and so forth. But I want to just start with right now. Who do you think the better character is?
Superman.
Okay, like that this one, I can't. I don't think I can even argue with you because if I look at it objectively, I have to agree with you.
Yeah.
But I just can't stand that motherfucker. I cannot stand Superman. I'm saying Goku just because out of fucking spite.
Well,
Yeah.
okay. Here's
Okay, go
why.
ahead.
Huh?
Go ahead. Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
Okay, here's why I say Superman is the better character. And frankly, it's just because he is a character. Like Superman has motivations. He has, flaws. He has personal experiences. He's got the aspect of, se- kind of semi Superman or not Superman, Spider Man rather,
Sorry.
where his life as Clark Kent is also important to Superman the character. Now, not to the same degree that Spider-Man is, of course not. But that's it. We actually see a character, and Goku is just a plot device so Toriyama can write punchy scenes. Let's be honest. Goku has no character other than I want to punch the other guy. He's a simplistic character, and I'm not saying that's bad. I'm not saying that Goku is a bad character. But by the by, Superman is the better put together character.
I don't even know where to fucking start with all that. Wow. Um, I wish I'd have fucking took notes on everything you just said, just so I could like throw them back at you. I think Goku's got a shitload more character in him than you're giving him credit for. He's like Goku has always kind of reminded me in a way. He's got like that certain likeness that like Homer Simpson has or Peter Griffin. You know what I mean? Like just that kind of like not necessarily. I don't want to say he's necessarily as dumb as Peter Griffin because he's obviously a hell of a fucking fighter. He's actually like you could call him a martial arts expert. So you're not going to be a dummy being a martial arts expert, but he's just got that certain dumbness to him that's just so likable. You know what I
Mm,
mean? I mean, also I have to ask you too, which version of Goku are you talking about? Are you talking about the Japanese version that people really don't know about much? Or are you talking about the English version that we know them all well here?
um, just to sum up, or to give the short story, the Japanese and the English are pretty equivalent if only you remove the inherent good guy syndrome that Goku has.
Okay.
Like their personalities are the same, except English Goku has more Superman in him than Japanese Goku.
See, that's something that's just obvious, but like Goku's not like the first rip-off storyline of Superman, and he's not gonna be the fucking last.
No,
You know what I mean? Like they just a long time ago they thought of a good starting point for your
yeah,
protagonist. You know what I mean?
mm,
Um, I think Goku, like I said, I think he has a bunch of character in him, but I also think that he's just more relatable as a character to me.
mm,
Like Clark Kent and Superman both have always bugged me because to me he actually seems like a fucking alien trying to pose as a human being. As to me, this that Goku seems more like a human being to me. You know what I mean?
okay.
He's fucking. You know what I mean? He just seems like he has more human emotions. Clark Kent's always seemed like a fucking robot to me, like half the time the way he talks, and it's I don't know. It's almost like when he wakes up in the morning, he's like, "How do I be a Boy Scout today?" Like, oh, it's just annoying. It's just like it's like cringing for me every fucking single time. You know what I mean? I can't stand it.
And how do I get better at punching today? Isn't just as cringy? I mean, let's face
Uh,
it. That's the only thing Goku does is he wants to learn how to. He wants to be a better puncher.
well, yeah, but then you could say that about like 80% of fucking protagonists in anime.
True, but I mean, let's.
It
Okay,
sounds to me like you just have there's a sounds to me like once upon a time you were wishing that Vegeta beat Goku, but Goku ended up beating Vegeta, and you just hated him ever since.
no, no, that's not necessarily true. Even though I would argue that Vegeta is the better character, for much of the same reason
Okay,
that Superman is the better character.
okay, okay. You need to stop.
Well, no,
You
like okay,
just need to stop. Jesus Christ with these shit.
well that's it. Goku just wants to punch things, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing. That's it. Hey, I get it. He does one thing, and he wants to be the best he does at it. There's nothing wrong with that.
See,
And
this
also,
is
huh?
in our beloved English version, at least how I know it. I've never watched like the Japanese. I've always watched the English version, but he
Hmm.
also wants to protect his friends. He wants to protect innocent people. He's always that final line between like a bad guy trying to kill innocent people, and he always tries to say, literally has sacrificed himself more than once to save his friends. You know what I mean? People that
Hmm.
he's not even related to. I mean, how is that not a likable character?
I'm not saying he's not likable. I'm just saying that that's it. It's only a handful of traits that he has, rather than actually being a fairly robust character.
Well, and Goku's defense too. Superman also has a shitload more stuff out there with him, and to have more different arcs of story and character development and so on and so forth. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
I mean, how many fucking TV shows do you have of Superman just in the past decade, or you know what I mean, or fucking like movies, so on and so forth? He's fucking everywhere. Can't
that's
stand
true.
it. All right, let's move on from character wise because it feels like we're kind of talking in circles. What
A little
about a
bit.
fight? Yeah, I'm gonna help you out too.
Hmm.
I'm gonna say I'm gonna give you not Goku from Dragon Ball Super. We're to do Goku from DBZ from right after he defeated Frieza. Okay, and then we're gonna do pre-Crisis Superman. Just
Okay.
pretty much based, not one of the golden ages or any of that fucking shit where he's obviously ridiculously fucking overpowered. This is another reason why I can't stand the cocksucker. But
Okay.
but just pre-crisis based Superman versus Super Saiyan Goku.
Mm, mm. I'm actually gonna give it to Goku under those parameters.
Ah, finally, common ground. Why?
Um, okay, pre-crisis Superman is really before Superman started getting, stupid retarded with his abilities and stuff like that. And of course, he was able to overcome any challenge that, was put in front of him because he's the fucking protagonist of his story. Of course he can. But
Uh,
we come to the point in this case where, okay, what would be the main hindrance between Goku winning that fight and Superman winning that fight? And that would have been the power gap. Like base form Goku versus Superman, Superman wins. Super Saiyan Goku gives him it helps him match the strength of pre-crisis Superman, and then at that point all Goku does is fighting, just like I was just got done saying. That's all he wants to do. And with that comes a certain level of expertise that pre-crisis Superman didn't have in just general fighting.
okay.
Now, if
Yeah.
you need a motherfucker to save a burning building, yeah, Superman. But as far as who's going to punch the other one better, yeah, Goku.
Yeah, I agree with 90% of what you said. Like, one of the biggest arguments I have gotten countless times, people try to like shutting down that argument is that they're like, well, you really don't have anything like in like a comic books. When you're
Hmm.
arguing comic book characters versus each other, there's a scaling. I don't know
Yeah.
if most people don't know that, but you have like your mid, you have your mid plus, you have your super, you have your super plus, so on and so Superman, of course, is there right there at Super Plus. The only other thing that's above him is pretty much your fucking god creatures that do
Hmm.
whatever. But that's a whole another podcast episode. Take a drink. But if we're talking to like Superman at Super Plus, like he moves pretty much at the speed of light, right?
Hmm.
Like we got a bunch of like scalings from achievements that he's done that we could be like, okay, he can move this fast, he's this strong, so on and so forth. Now,
Hmm.
one thing I get from people that trying to shut down the Superman argument is like there's no scaling in DBZ characters. I'm like,
There's plenty of scaling in
this
DBZ.
yes, yes, exactly. I'm like, did you ever watch the fucking show? I mean, like, literally before fucking, while they're telling Frieza's story, Frieza, what happened? Why does Vegeta hate Frieza so much? Why
Because
is
he blew up his
just tell me?
planet.
Yeah, he blew up his planet. How did he do
By he pointed a finger and made a shiny ball and shoot it
it?
at the planet.
Destroyed an entire planet with a fucking finger. He didn't even go
Hmm.
to his final. He didn't even go to his next form. He was
He,
destroying planets at his base fucking form.
and I
You know
would
what I
like
mean?
to
So
point out casually, like he didn't have to have a
yes,
power up sequence or anything like that. He just went shiny ball, planet, boom, done, gone.
yes, like with such fucking ease. He literally didn't even blink.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? Now extrapolate that to his final form and how Goku was beating the living dog shit out of him in Super Saiyan form. You know what I mean? So like I take that scaling right there, and in my eyes, though, I don't think Superman stands a fucking chance.
Yeah.
Like literally every one of Goku's punches could probably destroy a planet, and on top of all that power base, let's add on the aspect of how you said like 5 times already. Goku loves to punch shit. Like, would it be
Hmm.
fair to assess that he's a martial arts expert?
Yeah. Oh, certainly.
Yeah, Superman don't know how to fight. We're shit. He's just strong. That's the only reason why, like, that's one of the reasons why Batman takes him down constantly, turns him human, and beats the living dog shit out of the fucking guy. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like Goku, no, is very fucking tactical. They've shown it many times on that show, and Goku will find a weakness to whatever it is he's not lifting his whatever the fuck it is, and he will exploit the living shit out of it until Superman's begging for his life, and the Goku's like, "Ha, good fight. Get back up, son."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Here's
Here's a
the
sensu
sensu
bean.
bean.
Let's
Let's go
go.
again.
Yeah. Here's a sensu
Yeah,
bean. Let's do round two.
yeah. I could see them being friends. I don't
Oh
even
yeah.
it like yeah, if like if their universes crossed and like say if Goku went to the DC universe, I don't see Goku and Superman fighting. I see them being best fucking friends. But
I,
Superman was gonna want to be his best friends because he get his ass kicked.
hmm. Oh, I don't know. Like Soups does in the rare occasion that they just don't give Superman the God complex. Um, he does have respect for people people who might be not as powerful as him, but have a different tool set. Case in point, Batman, Green Lantern, the Flash. They're not individually as strong as Superman, but they have different toolkits that are still useful.
Yeah. Like, oh, Superman's not the best in any of those categories. I mean, even when it comes to speed, like his
Mm,
speed compared to Flash's is not even. It's not even funny. Like Flash could literally saved an entire country before a fucking atomic bomb went off. Like that guy's like god level fucking speed.
yeah.
That's what DC's fucking best thing to do is make really fucking strong superheroes for no reason. But that's one of the things I've always hated about Superman is like you could just tell every single time a writer is sitting down with Superman, he's just sucking on his dick so fucking hard. Like it just makes him completely unbeatable, even though he has a shitload of flaws that nobody really fucking like exploits except Batman.
Mm,
Thank God for Batman, by the way. Uh, like, don't get me wrong. I can understand why people like Superman, and I can even understand why people think he'll have a shot at beating Goku, like before Super Saiyan. But like, I think if you look at it objectively, by the time Goku goes Super Saiyan, like, I don't think it's a fight anymore. Now, if you want to even take Goku as he is now from Dragon Ball Super, like, he's pretty much a fucking god. Like, he's literally
yeah.
destroying fucking solar system with punches. I mean, there's no argument there. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
At least among us, I don't.
No, when it comes to that, like if we wanted to go just off of sheer feats, Goku wins. Like in his first fight with Beerus at the beginning of Dragon Ball Super, it was an issue because their punches were so powerful that the aftershocks were destroying things, off in the universe.
Yeah.
Like they had to take the fight to space because otherwise Earth would have just gone kaput.
Yeah, exactly. And they weren't even trying to fucking fuck the planet up. They were just trying to fuck each other up.
Uh-huh. Like here's a good point. It was a somewhat narrative. Uh, it was like a point in the fight where Goku actually figured out how to match his strength with Beerus to cancel out the shockwaves, so that way he wasn't destroying shit. And he only
Uh,
did that because it proved to him that uh, it was like a technique thing that he could match his power instantly.
yeah.
And
Yeah, DBZ is actually a pretty smart show with that kind of stuff. No, another thing I hear a lot is fucking people saying is um, like the little laser point things that they do, like when they shoot a little like a beam of light from their fingers and like
yeah.
freezing like kill Krillin or what the fuck ever. They're
Hmm.
like, look, see that little beam of light took them out of Superman's X-rays to take them out. I'm like, again, this is like it's like people don't fucking watch the show. I'm like, that's because they got a different power level, dude.
Yeah.
One's more powerful than the other. Like it's not rocket science, buddy. You know
and
what I
and
mean?
and there's a difference in the nature of it. Like, um, okay, I'm gonna throw something out there that's probably, or you're probably going to disagree with, but if Superman just went full blast, heat beat, laser vision on, a DBZ character, uh, they would probably melt if they weren't prepared for it.
It depends on which DBZ character. It really does. The power levels got such gaps beyond them. Now, if you're talking like Krillin or Yamcha, I mean, fucking dude, like Batman's gonna beat up Yamcha. Like, you know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah.
I don't mean that literally. I'm just like kind of tagging on Yamcha, but you get what I'm saying. Like, what DBZ character do you mean?
Oh, not necessarily a DBZ character per se, but here, let me set up a situation for you that's very un-Superman. Um, Superman just, super speeds right up to somebody and goes full blast laser vision, trying to melt them down to their or to dust. If
Okay.
Superman did that, I think he would win. Like they wouldn't be able to naturally resist that because it's shown in Dragon Ball that when a character is just fucking around and whatnot, not actively in a fight, they are actively weaker than they are when they're in the fight.
Okay, so you're saying like Superman just runs up on them like from out of nowhere, like they're completely unprepared for it.
Yeah.
Okay, like which I don't know, man. I could still like even if in that scenario, I could see Gohan, Goku, and Vegeta reacting before Superman got the drop on 'em. They sense
Mm,
power levels, like they're gonna be able to. And Superman's strong as shit.
yeah.
Like and he has no idea how to hide his power level, so they're gonna be sensing him coming from a distance.
Well,
Like, I don't think there's a scenario really where Superman can get the drop on.
I was gonna say this is kind of a debate of mechanics because
Mhm.
when it's always been my impression. This is headcanon, so it's not going to stand up in a real debate. But anyway, um, when they're sensing power levels in DBZ, what they're not sensing the person specifically. They're sensing
Uh,
the amount of ki they have in their body and what they can generate and stuff like that.
yes,
Whereas
yes.
Superman, like, are these things like I don't think ki is a thing when it comes to Superman. That's just the way his body is and he like if someone ran him through a scouter, I think he would show up as like a zero or a blank or an unreadable.
Um, that's actually an interesting question. Like, I mean, say if you take Superman and you put him in a DBZ universe, would his power like be translated through key? Do you know what I mean? Like, what is
Yeah,
key really? I mean, is like key like universal? It's like it's just is Superman's power really key in the DC universe? We just call it something else. You know what I mean? It's the same
yeah,
thing, but just different word. You know what I mean? That I guess it would really come down to mechanics. I mean, if it was in your case that Superman didn't have it and he popped up as an unreadable or a zero, but he still has all the power that he has, then you're absolutely right. He'd probably be able to get the drop on him. And most like, I mean, definitely people like Krillin, Chien,
hmm
Yamcha, like definitely those lower tiers. I think 100%. I don't even if they Chien and Yamcha and Krillin, all three together, tried to fight Superman, I don't think they'd have a chance.
oh,
I don't.
certainly
I
not.
think that's just too big of a gap.
Mm,
You know what I mean? Just like, what if Goku wanted to beat the shit out of Chi? What if Goku really did go bloodlusted and he just wanted to beat the living shit out of all of his friends, dude? He would do so no problem until he got to like Gohan or Vegeta.
right. And
You know what I mean?
even if we're getting to Dragon Ball Super, Gohan would die.
Oh, Gohan's actually starting to jump up a little bit there. That's a whole nother fucking podcast. Don't get me
Yeah,
started.
take a drink.
Don't get don't even get me started on that. That'd be an hour and a half later, and I'm still young.
Mm,
How about this? Since we're talking about Dragon Ball characters, what do you think is the best DBZ characters?
Vegeta.
Dude, come on, why?
Not a lie. Okay, here's why I say Vegeta. Um, Vegeta has actually had a character arc, and this is kind of going back to what I was saying about Superman. He's developed as a character. He went from being an outright literal villain to a kind of uh, enemy of my enemy situation to being a to being an ally to actually being a good fucking person if we exclude that little bit in Majin Buu. Anyway,
Mm,
and it's been stated outright by Akira Toriyama, the creator of Dragon Ball, that the reason Vegeta has been able to begin or become so much more powerful is because he's a good dude now. And like, being able to actually feel compassion and empathy and shit like that. Like, he's actually been able to develop as a character, where Goku has been the same punchy guy from the start of the series to when it ends, when, fucking 2050 or whatever.
I actually hate having this argument because I actually do like Vegeta. He's one of my favorite characters on the show,
Mm.
but I don't think he's the best character. Even if I look at it objectively, I can't think of him as the best character. Is you're kind of like that's the way I look at it.
Mhm.
Like the Vegeta I knew for like the longest time until like we watched him take on Frieza, even up to Frieza. Okay, let's talk about Vegeta up to Frieza.
Mhm.
We're talking about a guy that literally just wiped out planets, like
Yeah.
literally wiped out civilizations. You're basically like looking at Hitler and being like, he's not such a bad guy now. Like looking at a guy that caused genocides for countless fucking civilizations, and you're like, but he grew as a character. He learned from his own mistakes. Like, nah, fuck that. You know what I mean? Like, you fucking evil son of a bitch. When you grew a conscience now, fuck you. You just fucking killed babies and women and so on. That's the way I always viewed him. Like, don't get me wrong. I like him now because he did like develop as a character to like a kind of a good guy now,
Mhm.
but still like I like there's always that in the back of my mind, like, yeah, you're kind of evil, dude. You know what I mean? Like, even when you go up to the Boo saga, like he literally let Boo take over his like not Boo but the dude take over his mind, so he could get stronger to beat Goku. Like, he is like, fuck saving anybody's lives. He's like, I just want to be strong so I could beat this guy. You know what I mean? It's as to
That's
whereas
fair.
Goku's more of like, I just want to. He's like, don't get me wrong, Goku loves to fight, but the main reason why he's taking on these guys is not just to beat them up. He's trying to save his fucking friends and family. He's trying to save people. You know, so
That's more
Goku's
English
like always
version,
been
but
more of the
okay,
hero
yeah.
to me. Well, that's the version I know there, buddy.
Okay.
So that's what I'm going off of.
Uh, all right. Well, here. Uh, I will posit not now. If you had said Gohan was the better character compared to Vegeta, I would have agreed with you. But Vegeta versus
I
Goku,
take that
no.
too.
Oh yeah, like uh, well, I have problems with Gohan as a character. Um, the way like Toriyama doesn't write. That's a known thing, and Gohan just got pulled several different ways that he's not really a character in the sense of, he's got his own motivations and stuff like that. He's what the plot wants him to be. Like when he was just a child, he didn't want to fight and they made him fight anyway. When he got older and during the whole Sayamon thing, he wanted to go back to having a peaceful life and they pulled him back into the fight, and he didn't have any anxiety or any stress or like, oh, I don't want to do this moments. He just went, okay, we're doing the fighting thing. And then same thing when it came to Dragon Ball Super. He didn't he went back to having a peaceful life, and he was dragged back into conflict. Now, to Super's credit, they made him agonize about how weak and stuff that he had been gotten, but they're not making him agonize about this is just not what he wants to do. He's getting dragged into fights because people around him are saying, "Hey, we need you to do the punchy thing." And instead of putting up saying, "I don't want to do the punchy thing. I want to be a scholar or whatever," he goes, "Okay, I guess we'll," or, "Hey, we're gonna go do the punchy thing."
Well, I think it's more of a character for him that he does it because he know he needs to. He does it because he knows if he doesn't, innocent people will die. I think honestly, I can't when I look at it objectively, I can't say Gohan's the best DBZ character, but he is my favorite.
Mm,
Like the way they did him after the fucking Cell Saga just pissed me the fuck off. Like I could not stand when Gohan went Super Saiyan 2 was one of the most epic fucking things I've ever seen in my entire life. Like
oh yeah,
I still get chills from watching it to this day. Like they should have let Goku hand off the torch and let Gohan be the main protagonist, but whatever. You know
yeah.
what I mean? I think it's like I think Gohan's a better DBZ character than Vegeta. I think he's more relatable. Like I think that I think he's more heroic. Like
Mm,
like you say, he doesn't want to fight. Like, he's not his intention to like wake up in the morning like, who can I beat up today or what the fuck ever. Even though that's probably what Goku says to himself every day in the mirror.
mm,
But, but Gohan's more of like, hey, my friends and family are in trouble. I need to step up. And then when he steps up, he's a fucking badass. You know what
yeah,
I mean? Like he is the ultimate don't piss off Mr. Nice Guy. You know
right.
what I mean? He is that. They're one of the reasons why I love that character. You know, but what they just did him dirty after the Cell Saga,
Yeah.
fuckers. I'm still like sad about it to this day. But they're
It,
starting to bring it back a little bit in Super, so we'll see where they take it.
it's funny. It's because Super is kind of it's ironic in a way because Super is showing that, Toriyama has grown as a writer, but the fact of the matter is he's still not good at it. Like,
Damn, dude, that's cool.
well, like, Super
That's cool.
tries to address a lot of the complaints and other issues that have been raised against Dragon Ball as a franchise, and it shows that he's listening, but he's also just kind of not doing anything with it.
Yeah. Um, I think it's more of like how much content can you really produce, man? Like at a peak form.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like all the greatest writers, even Stephen King. Like, just how much shit can you really possibly put out that's just incredible? I
yeah,
think that's the reason why a lot of shows like just they honestly, man, they should have fucking stopped Dragon Ball a long time ago.
yeah. I
They,
agree. Well,
yeah, what's that?
oh, well, no, I do agree with that. Like, when you put out like Dragon Ball in its main run was coming out with a new issue every week. That is a murderous schedule. And if any for people who don't really know uh anything, about manga or the production of manga and stuff like that, um or manga anyway. Uh like when it comes to a weekly episode or a weekly issue thing like Shonen Jump or Champion Red, so on and so forth, that's it. They are literally spending their entire week writing, drawing, and then processing. Putting it through or uh, ugh, writing, drawing, and processing the entire issue of that comic or of that particular series. Like that is a murderous schedule, especially when you consider
Yeah.
I think it takes like 8 to 10 hours to produce a single page of manga,
Yeah.
and you
Well,
figure
they got
most
a
week.
team drawing, you know what I mean? So it's
Mhm.
not like just one person's knocking it out, but you're 100% right. That's not even counting like the editing, the fucking voice acting, and
Well, that's
syncing it all
for
up with.
anime,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
but still, like that is a ludicrous schedule. So of course, yeah, there's going to be things that fall flat. Uh, but that's it. Toriyama himself has said that's it. He is not a writer. He flies by the seat of his pants when it comes to writing Dragon Ball, and that's how he's always done it. And yeah, we've gotten some good things out of that. Don't get me wrong. Like the aforementioned Gohan going Super Saiyan 2 was just a very powerful moment in the series, and I would argue in anime and in Japanese media in general.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I don't know, you could pretty much go up to any nerd and just be like, Gohan, Super Saiyan 2, and they'd be like,
That's it. That's going
got
to bring a
Chris Pratt. I
smile
just
and
picture
fond
Chris Pratt's
memories.
faces when he gets shocked. Well, yes, I agree 100%. Well,
Uh, hmm.
since we're dancing around anime and shit like that, I want to have let's bring back the debate side to it because we're just pretty much agreeing with everything.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, your best My Hero Academia side characters. Because obviously you're going to want to talk about Deku or Pagakugo. And also, I want to give a disclaimer right from get when we're doing this. I am terrible with these fucking Japanese names. I'm 100% have a acknowledge that. So when you guys hear me say these names funny, go ahead and make fun of me. I don't care. Like, I'm just terrible with the Japanese names. So
I will seek to correct him, if only so we all know what the fuck he's talking about.
thank you. You're my get out of jail free card. But yes, the question: best
Okay.
My Hero Academia side characters.
Uh, I'm going to go with Yaorozu.
Okay.
Um, Momo, I think is actually her first name. She's the girl who can create anything out of, her fat cells.
Uh-huh.
Uh, I like her the best specifically because she's kind of the best combination of like, and this is getting really into anime tropes. She's the best combination of the older sister trope, or she's kind of, she's caring, she's compassionate, but she's also incredibly brilliant and has a busted ass quirk. Like, even in universe, she didn't have to go through any of the shit Deku did in order to get into UA. She just,
Uh-huh.
hey, I'm here, I have this power, and that's it. She can make fucking anything.
Yeah, the she was got in over recommendations.
Yeah.
Yeah, d- I can't. I can't. They got so many other better characters. Like I get where you're coming from. You know what I mean? And maybe they'll like do more with the character in the future. But she's just not that. I mean, the only thing that's really likable about her to me is just her big titties. That's it.
Eh, well, I
I
mean,
can't
that's
help
a
myself.
weakness of
That's
mine, so.
it. Yeah, but beyond that, I'm just like, man, I'm more with the fire ice guy to how do you say
Oh,
his name
Todoroki.
Todoroki? Yes, like honestly, out of the whole entire series, he's like the third most likable person to me. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I feel like he's like the ultimate. I'm caught in between like a rock and a hard place. Like you know what I mean? He wants to so much not be like his dad, but he still wants to be the number one hero at the same time. Like I just love what they did with this character there, and on top of that, just how fucking OP he is.
Eh,
Like like honestly, dude, if he used his fire side, I think he took down Bagakugo in the fucking in the tournament.
Bakugo.
Bakugo. Bak I'm just gonna start calling the motherfucker B. I don't care. But I think it took down Bakugo in the tournament. I really do.
Uh, well, I mean, let's face it. The only reason he lost that fight is because of narrative reasons. Uh, and yeah, like if he just kind of actually started flexing, yeah, Bakugo would have been dust. That said,
I don't know about Dust, but I definitely think he'd have won
mm, we'll put a pin in that. Um, but
it.
and maybe it's just like, here's what I think. I think that Todoroki had a much stronger opening and has almost gotten a little bit of, he's gotten a lot more limelight uh
That's
in he's gotten a little more camera time than Momo and whatnot. I would say is probably just and I think if we did have, like a Momo centric episode or a Momo centric arc, that people would really come to love her. Uh
I don't know, man. I just it's hard for me to see the likability there. Like I like her because she's obviously very intelligent. You know what I mean?
mhm,
Like she's really on top of her shit when it comes and like she uses her quirk well, like very well. But still, it just I don't know. Maybe it's like more of like I'm looking at it like the other quirks are better, like because I'm looking at it from a point of view of like which ones would I want,
yep, that's
and I
true.
just can't help. Yeah, and I just can't help but see myself ever coming to terms of wanting hers.
Oh, coincidentally, given the choice, I would rather have hers rather than Todoroki's.
What? You're fucking insane.
No, look, what? Okay, fire and ice powers. What's okay? Yes, there's a lot of utility that could be going into that, but uh, okay, here's the way I see it. In my line of work, I have to often, do things out in the field where I don't have access to, tools or the things that I might need. And just being able to go, oh, this wrench doesn't fit, or oh, this is a brass bolt and I need something softer, and just being able to go, boop, okay, I have the thing I need. Done.
All
Like,
right. Well, if if you got those powers and you're still out there doing your job, then that's a you problem. Like, I can't help but think that you're not gonna like if you got some kind of like power like that. That is, oh well, fuck it, gotta go into work tomorrow. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and I just
well,
don't see that happen.
okay, yeah, that's a loaded statement. But like,
Yeah.
he- here's where I'm getting at. Okay, Todoroki's, fire and ice powers, yes, it's cool. It's flashy. It's powerful. Great. I love it. Cool. But being able to just go, I need a thing. Poop, here I have it. How
Yeah,
the
but
fuck
you
could you
also at
not?
the same time you have to know you have to know the entire structure of that item. She can't just be like, "Hey, I want to fucking make a gun right now," but not know. She has to know like doesn't she have to know like the atomic structure of it and shit?
Yeah, she's got to know the atomic structure and the physical makeup of it, which, I mean, really,
Yeah,
that's
that
not
just
that
sounds
hard.
like a pain in the ass.
Okay, metal. Metal is a crystalline structure. How does a gun
Oh,
work? Okay, you put bullets in or you put bullets in the chamber. A hammer comes forward, strikes the back of the ignition, or strikes the ignition on the round. The round or the gunpowder inside sparks, explodes, and shoots the pellet down the barrel. Like a gun
oh.
is not a terribly complicated thing to make. You
I
can make it out of
understand that,
plumbing
but like
equipment.
being out there, I understand that, but being out there on the fly, just needing something that comes to your mind or whatever kind of item that you need, but you don't know the genetic makeup of, you're gonna be fucked.
Well, I mean, you can also just make approximations. Like, okay,
Uh,
when it comes to like, high tech plastics or polymers or, even high tech or, like some of the superconductors and or shit, like when it comes to like high grade science stuff, sure. But metal is a fairly simple thing to understand. It's a crystalline structure of these elements. Plastic, even then, it's a polymer or, it's basically this kind of molecule arrayed in a lattice. Like even like a diamond. A diamond is the easiest thing to make. Carbon atoms all right in a row, done, easy. And we do actually, have studies and sciences of this, and we might not even have to understand how the molecule works together so far as it does, and or so far that it does. Like I might not how understand how chromium bonds to steel to make stainless steel, but it works, and I know that.
right? I mean, even hypothetically, she could shoot for like beams from her hands and shit, couldn't she? Like, say
Mm,
if she wanted to know all she'd have to know is like really like the structure of a laser.
yeah.
Huh.
Well, like that. Okay,
Still,
that's
no.
that's raising more questions because then we have to get into like energy requirements and whatnot because you need a battery in order to make a laser.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I still just can't. No.
Hmm.
Like I even like Ida. Is that how you say his name? I even like him
Oh,
better
Ida,
than
yeah, he's good.
yeah, he's a really likable character. He's just that fucking guy that he's like he's kind of like if they wanted to make Superman fucking My Hero Academia without the powers, but like the Clark Kent life, like Mr. Boy Scout, Mr. Perfect, but he tries like a motherfucker.
Yeah. Well,
You know
and
what I mean?
I would contend that part of Ida's appeal is not only does he generally think that, that's the best thing for him to be doing, but they also had that whole, little arc where he doesn't, where he's just out for blood and vengeance.
Yeah, when his brother died, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I like that's one of the reasons why I like him because when it happened, I was like, damn, I didn't know he had that side of him. And then like the more he develops his quirk too, like the strong I could see him within a couple of years being one of the strong guys. Like I really can. Like I kind of like the Flash kind of thing. Like once he starts getting because like it's just like right when you think he hits his cap, like he keeps like there's like a new booster or whatever that he's got that makes him
Hmm.
go faster. Like oh shit, I didn't know you could go that fast. You know what I mean?
uh, I think he would be a much better general purpose hero, but I don't think he would be. Uh, I believe it or not, I don't think he would be that good as a combat oriented hero.
Ah, I guess time will tell. Because
Okay.
they're very smart in how they work out their quirks
Yeah.
in towards combat. Like especially the dude that takes like the fucking purple dots off his head. What's his name?
Oh, oh hell. Miroto?
I can't remember his name. The horny little dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
I can't remember it off the top of my head, but we'll just call him Horny Balls.
you could call him
Horny
that.
Balls.
All right, Mr. Horny Balls. But though even the way they work out his quirk and how that's the last thing that you'd be like he could use in combat. You know what I mean? It's like
Mm,
one of the last things. Like it just doesn't sound that useful. But fuck, man, they make it work for him.
well, I mean, restraining your opponent is always going to be useful. It's easy to win when you don't have to,
Yeah,
or when, you don't have to fight. And I
yeah.
would like to point out that that's actually smart for his character because it changes the paradigm of his fights. Like, Deku versus anybody, it's going to be Deku punching the guy until the guy doesn't want to stand up anymore. When it comes to him,
Or
huh,
or kicking.
or kicking shoot style as it is. Okay, but it's basically going to be Goku or
It's basically gonna be Goku versus Frieza, the final showdown.
it's going to
There you
be
go, I saved you, buddy.
it's going to be Deku punching. Yeah, it's going to be that. It's going to be Deku punching, or it's going to be Deku beating the guy until it steps or he stands down. Whereas Miroda, that's it. All he has to do, he doesn't have to win by beating, rendering his opponent unconscious or doing physical damage to them. He's just got to pin him down. He's just got to make them not be able to do their bullshit. And that's
Yeah.
it's an interesting twist for Mr. Horny Balls.
Yes, it is. Well, that's just one of the things that makes the show so great, man. It's just, I mean, not on top the character development, but the way
Hmm.
they work out those quirks is just, it's smart. You know
Oh
what I
yeah.
mean? Like you could actually tell they actually sat down and like thought about this, not just kind of like, hey, yeah, fuck it, let's just make up anything. You know what I mean?
Mm. Oh no, the best part of My Hero Academia is certainly its writing.
Yeah. All right, okay, I'm gonna stop like fondling the balls of My Hero Academia for a minute, and like let's
Oh,
let's get these gloves off again, because I know I had to save the best for last. All right.
oh well, hold on.
Best Souls game.
I've got one. Since we're on the topic of anime, I've got one that I want to shoot at you that I actually
Oh, okay.
thought up of while we were doing this.
Oh, okay. My bad.
What is the better? Okay, okay. Well, we're just gonna say it this way. What is better, Rurouni Kenshin or Inuyasha?
For me, I'd have to say Inuyasha.
Ooh, I'm gonna have to say
Y-
Kenshin.
Uh, yeah, Inuyasha is one of my favorite. It's not only one of my favorite animes; he's one of my favorite characters.
Hmm.
Like to be like by far. like if I had to make up a list, it'd probably be like Gohan, like Deku, and then Inuyasha would be like third or fourth.
Mm.
Like so I'm probably giving a biased opinion here.
Yeah, that's true. Well, here I say
Give
Rurouni
me.
Ken. Hmm?
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Okay, Rurouni Kenshin is better than Inuyasha because his redemption story is a lot more compelling. The fights are a lot better, and uh, the cast of characters in Kenshin is a lot better than Inuyasha.
Okay. Well, I just want to say that you're wrong.
Okay, would you like to expound on that?
um, I don't know, man. For me, like, I think that Inuyasha is like one of the like most relatable characters out of like all anime. Like I like generally think that because it's just the way they put into his character development, like Inuyasha that started the show, like he just wanted to prove to his bigger brother that he was a badass. You know what
All
I mean?
right.
That's basically, you know what I mean? Like, and that's anybody that has like siblings, that's just relatable. Like with Nick, I'm sure Nick's felt like that a lot, but then here comes this girl that just like slowly but surely pretty much changes his entire aspect of how he looks at life in general. On top of him just not giving a fuck about his brother anymore, he just wants to help his friends. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like he just became such a the character learned, grew, so on and so forth. But also, like I said, I'm probably a fucking biased opinion here because like when I got into Inuyasha, I got into that fucking show hard. Like I probably binge watched it like 3 or 4 times in a row.
All right.
Like every single, it was like every single night for me. It was on Tsunami, and I would watch it. You know what I mean? So, and
Um.
also,
Hmm.
I've not watched that much of Kenshin, so I I have like a kind of like don't have all the data in front of me. Like I'd have to like really sit down and rewatch it and shit like that.
Okay. Well, you know what? We'll go ahead and let that one go to rest, but I still say Kenshin is better. Well, here, and let me just give my point, and we'll move on. Um,
Yeah, that's
Kenshin is better because one, I like the character of Kenshin better than Inuyasha. Inuyasha is just kind of a shit where uh, Kenshin is really much more. He's much more entertaining in my mind. Like that's it. He's just kind of his base nature is that he's this bumbling oaf who also happens to be one of the deadliest motherfuckers on the or on the planet.
mm-hmm.
Um, Secondly, I believe that Kenshin's narrative arcs and his redemption arc are a lot more compelling than Inuyasha's. And one thing that I appreciate about Kenshin more than Inuyasha is that Inuyasha's character growth is fairly linear. He starts off as an asshole, he ends up as a good guy. Where Kenshin, you regularly see him struggling with uh, the persona of Batosai the Manslayer. In a lot of his fights, it's just sort of like, oh shit, he's gonna, he's gonna bust it out, or he's gonna start killing folks again. Where we don't really get that in Inuyasha, and when Kenshin gets to the end of his narrative, where um, he can be a peaceful person now. He can have that peaceful life. It feels a lot more earned than Inuyasha.
I don't know, man. Inuyasha goes through a lot of shit.
He goes through a lot of shit, but he doesn't. It's he goes through a lot of shit, but like, okay, if it takes, say, five fights in order for Inuyasha to have a change in his character, Kenshin only takes like two.
Okay, so
And it
maybe Kenshin's just a little bit more adaptive.
Yeah, and I would also like to point out that Inuyasha is a much longer running series than Kenshin was, so I mean that's going to play a part in it.
Yeah, like I've been in an anime binge lately, so maybe I have to rewatch. I mean, I definitely watched it. Like I do remember what, but it's just been like it's been a minute.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? So like, well, yeah, well, let's just put a pin in that one, and we'll come back to that after I rewatch it, and I can actually sit down with the right data to prove why you're wrong.
No, you'll probably just agree with me.
No, no, no. I won't just
Uh,
out of spite.
oh well, that's fair.
I don't think you're taking into account how spiteful I can be.
Uh, well, hey, I'm trying to appeal to your better nature.
Just
You
ask
used to be,
Superman.
yeah, you used to be an annoying little shit with this, and you got better. So hey, you too can have a redemption arc.
I don't know, man. I don't think my hate for fucking my hate for Superman's going away, or my love for Inuyasha. But hey, you never know, man. If you what the future, what 2021 will hold. So
Well, it's not about, one is better, or it's not about, you don't have, or you can still like Inuyasha, even, and still admit that, Rurouni Kenshin is better. It's not about, well,
well, like it's happened to me recently because like Vegeta used to be one of my top favorite anime characters until I got to My Hero Academia, and
oh
then like yeah, Deku like straight up shooter kicked Vegeta down on my list.
yeah.
So like yeah, like but there's certain nostalgia to some of it. Like Gohan's always gonna be my number one spot. Why? Super Saiyan 2. Like
Mm,
I don't think it would take a lot to move Gohan from that number one spot for me. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So I just say you might say that I'm just being old fashioned. I just say I'm being loyal.
Well, that's it. Two things can be true.
Yes,
And
and I'm also a stubborn bastard. So
yeah. Oh no, like that's it. I think Goku, or not Goku. I think Gohan's a great, or well, he's an okay character, and then yeah, like Super Saiyan 2. Uh, if we want to actually compare the old to the new, Gohan going Super Saiyan 2 is still a more hype or more exciting moment for me
mhm.
than, say, All Might doing United States of Smash. Like, don't get me wrong,
Oh
United States of Smash is hype as fuck, but
yeah, yeah,
you eh, 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 Super Saiyan Gohan or Super Saiyan 2 Gohan still wins.
yeah. I agree with 100%. But yo, man, Deku still got some go. Deku could do something like that.
He
You
could,
know
he
what I
could.
mean? Like I don't know. I'm still waiting to see where they go with that show, man. So this could be like take another drug, future podcast.
Well, and there's theories that My Hero Academia could actually be starting to move into its final act. So,
Don't say that. Don't. Don't
well,
fucking do that.
here's the
Don't
thing.
say that kind of shit to me. Shut up. No.
Well, I was going to say, I think that's actually a good move. It's better for
No.
something to end, like we were talking about with Dragon Ball, than for it to, get dragged out into or perpetuity.
Well, I agree with that. I really do. But I think they at least need to get a good solid 8 seasons.
Mm, we'll see if they go that
Solid
far.
eight. Yeah, the way the timeline's going, because obviously they'll start the show. Deku says this is a story how to become the world's greatest hero.
Yeah,
So if you just take away what they're doing with the timeline, around about 7 8 seasons until Deku gets to that like number 1 spot, I could see that being real. You know
yeah,
what I mean? I feel like if they did it anything shorter than that, they would be rushing it at this point. Like they did this like huge story arcs for everybody, then you would have to hurry up everything. You know what I mean? It would
yeah.
feel rushed.
And I would like to point out that even if they do end, Deku's story of My Hero Academia, we're going to be seeing more of the universe. Like, that's it. It's an insanely popular
Oh
franchise. There's so much money there. And like, rare is the person who can just go, you know what? No, I'm done with this franchise. I don't want to touch it anymore. In fact, I can only think of one artist who's ever done that.
yeah.
Full
Yeah,
Metal.
I agree 100%. What would
Mm,
you say?
oh, Hiromu Arakawa, Full Metal Alchemist.
Oh, yeah, that is kind of strange. I never noticed that.
Yeah, like after Full Metal Alchemist was done, it was done. We didn't really hear about it. There wasn't, a ton of continuation sequels or anything like that. People, they weren't like, oh, we want more Ed and Al. It was just, okay, we're done.
They had they had that one movie, right?
They had or they had movies, but that wasn't done by the artist. Like, or that wasn't
Oh,
done
okay.
by the original, or that wasn't done by Hiromu Arakawa. It was Square owned the license, so they were doing a thing.
Oh, I didn't know
Yeah,
that. Okay.
like
Oh, that's
any.
good to know because I'm in the middle of watching Full Metal Alchemist right now.
Ah, you like it?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh
Okay.
yeah. It's the more I do you know what the first like few episodes I was
Hmm.
like, man, I could take it or leave it, but like once you start getting in deep into that, it gets better. It
Yeah.
really does. I'm liking it so far. I'm jumping between right now my hero rewatching My Hero Academia and watching Full Metal Alchemist.
Hmm.
So kind of bobbing back and forth. But
But
I could see Full Metal Alchemist is a show that I'll rewatch.
oh yeah.
Because if you know what I mean? Like when you first watch a show, you kind of like you get all the like big points and everything like that, but there's always that like little how do you say it like subliminal. What is that word that I'm looking for? Kind of blanking.
Well, describe what
Fucking
you're trying to say, and I'll give you the word for it.
yeah, like just little hints and shit like that into the storyline, what people say and shit like
Oh,
that. You don't really notice the first time around.
foreshadowing.
Foreshadowing. Thank you. But
Yeah,
yeah,
and
all that for yeah, there's a lot of that shit that you missed in the first time you watch.
yeah. Full Metal Alchemist is actually really good for that. Uh, and if you want to bring Full Metal Alchemist up in any kind of debate, oh boy, I'll be like you
Oh,
on that shit.
Dude, it will come. It will come. Let me finish it. Let me get my points down because I feel like it would be arguing about like Kenshin all over,
Yeah.
naming a bunch of shit that I really don't even remember or know.
Yeah. But yeah,
So we'll definitely circle back to that sometime.
definitely.
Um, but now for the cream of the cream. Once again, I would like to reiterate: this show is called Nerdborne for a reason.
Yep.
We saved the best for last, baby. All right, let me hear it. Best Soulsborne game.
Bloodborne.
Wrong.
Oh.
I don't. Uh, this is like Final Fantasy argument all over. I'm not picking my favorite. I'm just trying to look at it objectively. What really is the best one? And I have to say, Dark Souls. I can't like every single time I try to like circle around to like even excuses for me because it's not necessarily I don't I guess it is kind of my favorite, but at the same time I do love Bloodborne and I really do love Dark Souls too. But I just can't think of any good excuses in my mind to why it's not Dark Souls.
Okay, now this is all right. Just to set a disclaimer, uh, Bloodborne isn't actually my favorite Dark Souls game. My favorite is actually Dark Souls 3. I believe I brought that up in a future, or in a not in a future, in a past podcast. Hey, yeah, words. Anyway, um, just for reasons of variety, playstyle, stuff like that. But as far as uh, really or really taking the Souls born mechanics and or honing them to a razor's edge. I would say Bloodborne is definitely the best of the Soulsborne games, so just because that's it. It takes everything that Dark Souls was trying to do, does it better in terms of character progression, in terms of the weapons system, in terms of how the combat feels. Um, and even in terms of like the world building and stuff like that. Now granted, I will give it that Dark Souls is a more varied game. It has more variety, it has a little bit more going on. But if we want to talk about taking a Souls game and refining the concepts uh, to be the best playable experience, I really think Bloodborne is that.
Well, I mean, oh, some of what you just said is more of personal preference. Like, if I were to say to you, what would you prefer? What are you bigger fan of timeline wise? Are you a fan of like 1880 London, and then you would be a huge Bloodborne fan, or do you prefer like England in the 1500s, and you'd be more of a Dark Souls fan? You know what I mean? So like that's a little bit of personal preference. Me, I'm more of like the night guy. Like I like swords and shit like that, but at the
Uh-huh.
same time, like I can get why people would like that London, that kind of like they did that very well in Bloodborne. That like kind of like London goth feel,
Yeah.
just like kind of like Jack the Ripper's around every corner kind of feel to it. They did a fantastic job with that. Like it's hard for me to even argue against Bloodborne because of how much I do love that game. The
Mm,
fucking game is just awesome. You know what I mean? So it's like I kind of feel like I'm battling my own mind here by trying to like point out things why Dark Souls is better. But one reason why I like Dark Souls better is it's because or why I think it's better is because the weapon system is huge for me. Like I like Bloodborne's weapon system. I think it's cool, but I think it's just very limited. Like they give you a couple cool little fun weapons here and there. One or two of them are really OP. The rest are so-so. You know what I mean? Like I feel Dark Souls is just a lot more versatile. Like you could become OP any kind of build in Dark Souls. Of course, like a faith build is obviously like a little bit higher than the rest, but at the same time, like if you wanted to do a dexterity build, you could cause just as much damage.
yeah.
As to where Bloodborne, it just feels like strength is kind of like really fucking OP. You know what I mean? Like it's like a huge gap, and like dexterity and all the other builds just don't seem as fun. It just seems more limited to me.
I will give you that uh Bloodborne, that's it. It doesn't have nearly as many options, and I would actually contend that in Dark Souls there are less options than you think. Like every great sword handles basically uh, uh, the same. Every club handles the same. Like there are only a set number of weapon types in Dark Souls, and everything else is that just little tweaks on that variation. Whereas in Bloodborne, they took one weapon and they gave it a fully fleshed out move set. Every hand or every weapon handles differently in Bloodborne, with the exception of the the two swords,
Well, that doesn't
Kirkhammer
necessarily
and
mean.
Ludwig's Holy Blade.
Well, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, like every weapon in Bloodborne handles differently. Like Kirk's, except for Kirk's holy blade or Kirk's holy sword and or not Kirk's fuck Ludwig's holy blade and the Kirk hammer.
Yeah.
Those two they handle pretty much the same because they're basically sword and then bigger thing.
Yeah, and coincidentally, they're the strongest fucking things you could. Dude, you run with the Holy Blade. That's kind of like playing the game in easy mode.
Yeah, a little bit. I'm not gonna lie.
Mm. Yeah. I get where you're coming from, but that doesn't necessarily make it a good thing. You know what I mean? It did for its own style in Bloodborne, but and I guess that'd be more a personal preference of like what kind of move sets do you appreciate in weapons. I just
Oh,
thought
certainly.
that Dark Souls. What's that?
Certainly.
Yeah, and I just think that Dark Souls did a much better job of giving you like a variety pick, like a be much more like open. Um, even the combat in Bloodborne, I think the combat in Bloodborne is hard. I'm not trying to downplay the difficulty of Bloodborne at all
Mm,
when I say this, but I just think Dark Souls is like that much harder than Bloodborne. The only boss in Bloodborne that truly gave me like a difficult time was Rom. Rom kicked my ass, but I think Rom does that to pretty much fucking everybody. I can name
mm,
you like three in Dark Souls. I can name you at least three. Yeah,
well,
that's just like fuck. You know what I mean? Like Ornstein is Smough is harder than any boss that I've played in in Bloodborne. Minus the DLC. The DLC was kind of difficult, but not it's still not really to me. I don't know. I just
eh, we could have. This could just be its whole ass episode.
I'm
uh,
I'm waiting to hear your response, buddy. I heard you kind of like it sounded like you broke there for a second.
well, okay. It's funny that you bring up Rom as a difficult fight because Rom for me is one of those just kind of in the way bosses. Like Rom for
Fuck you.
me is not a difficult fight. It's literally okay, run in there, smack a few spiders, beat the shit out of the slug. It's like when you brought up Rom as being an issue, I'm just kind of like, is he talking about a different boss and got the name wrong?
No, no, I'm not. That is the only boss that I have trouble with in that fucking game, man.
Uh,
Even the fucking all the giant like what's that one that's that bitch that transforms into a giant ass wolf? Like
Oh,
and you're in
Amelia.
a yeah, even her. I don't have a problem with her. I don't have a problem with any of the bosses besides every single to this day, dude. Like, if I were to go to launch Bloodborne right now, by the time it gets to Braum, I'm gonna be like, fuck. It sucks. I don't know why he always takes me down from a distance. Maybe it's just my playstyle.
Yeah, it's because that's it. Rom, like that's it. I thought it was funny you brought up Rom, where I can bring up a number of bosses that are uh,
Well, what do you think the harder boss is?
well, I mean, there's the obvious Orphan of Kos, Martyr Logarius, um,
Oh no. I don't know.
Bloodstained
I
Beast,
don't, well, what
uh,
do you which game do you think has the harder bosses? Dark Souls or Bloodborne?
Dark Souls.
Yes.
But I would contend,
Ding.
well, no, I would contend that the or difficulty outright does not mean quality. I would say that as far as uh, the experience of the fight, Bloodborne has better bosses fights, even if they're not as hard. There's a lot more back and forth. There's a lot more uh, uh,
Yes.
investment in it. Because let's face it, after a certain point in Dark Souls, you know how you beat a boss. You bury your face in their ass or their crotch, and you roll away whenever they twitch. In Bloodborne, you have to be a
Uh,
lot more active. You can't just stick in a spot and hit them and then run away.
um, that's not true. I mean, I just picture myself laughing in Manthus. Like that's not true with him, buddy.
No, but
Is that how you
okay,
say his name?
uh, that's the exception that proves the rule.
Okay. Well, I don't. One thing I think that makes Bloodborne the when I would use how you said that like the difficulty aspect doesn't necessarily mean better. Well, in this case, it does for me. What because like they give you 20 of those fucking blood vials.
Hmm.
That's too much. Like that's the reason why I found Bloodborne a little bit. I'm just not used to having all that. I'm like, holy shit, I got 20 of these motherfuckers. Yeah,
Hmm.
you know what I mean. On top of that, you could add the mods to make it more powerful and shit like that. Like so, it just like I don't know. It made it a little bit easier for me because like all you really had to do on Bloodborne, if you got yourself in a tight situation, is roll the fuck out of there, get behind a pillar, use blood vials. If you rinse and repeat that, like you're just like really never gonna have that difficult time with the bosses, as opposed to in Dark Souls, like you really just don't have like if you face an Ornstein is small, if you're like find me an area on that map where you can go heal. You know what I mean? Like it's a bit surviving with those guys because they don't really. And on top of that, you don't get 20 heals. You get like 5 to 6, or however you go up to 10. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I mean, whenever I do Ornstein and Smo, I run in there with 15 Estus.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Once you get the, which by the way, you could get that at the beginning of the game. You know what I
Mm.
mean? So you could like if you knew the tricks to it, you could play it like that. But if you're just starting off playing Dark Souls, you're not gonna know any of that shit. Let's face the facts. You're gonna have 5 fucking axes. That's all you have.
Well,
You know what I mean? It is opposed to Bloodborne when you get 20 right off rip.
it's worth pointing out that it ends up being roughly equivalent because um, just like based off of percentages, an Estus flask will heal more than a blood vial.
uh,
Like one use of the Estus flask is basically good for about 3 blood vials. Or if you
um,
wanted, hmm,
it's like yeah. I mean, you really do have to use 2 blood vials to like get up there, you know what I mean? Not
yeah,
necessarily fully heal yourself, but give you enough to where you're not gonna die.
yeah.
Hmm. Um Still, I don't know. I just find it like it just makes it a little bit easier for me. Maybe like I said, maybe there's something that's like my play style. And at the same time, I feel like shit right now trying to like drag Bloodborne's name through the mud because I don't
Well,
want to.
I would like to
I
point
love
out,
the fucking game.
and I would like to point out, and this is a little bit more philosophical. Two things can be true at the same time. Like you don't have to denigrate Bloodborne in order to say Dark Souls is better. Okay,
Oh yeah, it's not.
like yes, there's going to be a certain amount of personal preference that creeps into these arguments. We're human. That happens. Implicit bias is a thing. Um, but you don't. You can say you can criticize something and still love the absolute hell out of it. That's like my whole shtick. Like we're sitting here. I've been sitting here. Banging on fucking Final Fantasy X, fucking
Yeah,
uh Goku or banging on Goku stuff. I still love these characters. Don't get it
yeah,
twisted. You sit or if Dragon Ball Z's on, I'm sitting down and I'm watching for a little bit. Same thing with
yeah.
Superman. But that's it. Just
Fuck
because we
Superman.
can say one thing is done better versus another thing doesn't mean that the other thing is inherently worse. Like
Yes.
uh okay, case in point, My Hero Academia versus Dragon Ball Z. Yes, My Hero Academia is a much more fleshed out and well written show, but at the same time, Superman or not Superman, fucking Dragon Ball is a lot. I'm getting my own stuff twisted. Anyway, uh, Dragon Ball is much more narratively simple, so that's it. It's easy to appreciate. It's easy to just go, fuck yeah! Whereas,
Yeah.
uh, My Hero Academia requires a lot more investment in seeing what's going on. And I would argue that that's better for me, but that's personal preference. I like that more.
I agree 100% with everything you just said. And I've known that this entire time, but I still feel bad about saying bad things about Bloodborne. Can't help the way I feel just because I love that game so damn much.
Well, you're not saying anything bad about Bloodborne. You're saying good things about Dark Souls.
Yeah, that is very true. Like, I just can't help but to think that I think the right idea what they had with Bloodborne that could make it better than Dark Souls. It's like they had it in a direction that you could tell that they were just like experimenting kind of, if
Hmm.
that makes sense. Like they wanted to take a new approach to the Soulsborne mechanics, and they figured out a way to change it up a little bit but still have that Soulsborne feel to it. I think they had a good idea there, but I don't think it was fully developed, if that makes sense. Like I think like something with Bloodborne 2, which is probably the reason why they keep it so hush hush about it, and they've probably been working on it for I think Bloodborne 2 could possibly have like the it could be better than the original. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like the way that the direction they were heading with it, like there is something there. That's just like when it comes out, it's gonna be a masterpiece of a masterpiece. Like it's just gonna be like that legendary status kind of thing.
Well, coincidentally, and this is gonna sound confusing, but I'm just gonna run it out there. I actually think Bloodborne is kind of what Dark Souls 2 should have been in the
I don't.
essence. Well, like, okay, here's the thing. It is my opinion that they took the Souls mechanics uh, in Bloodborne and polished or refined it down and polished it to a mere shame. Like that's well, that I've been arguing that for God knows how long now. Um, but it's just a solid improvement, in my opinion, on the fundamentals of stamina-based combat with dodging and very precise, tight combat and movement.
Yeah. I disagree.
Mm,
There's something very special on Dark Souls 2 that people refuse to kind of like see because I think they were just put by it. I think
yeah.
people were wallowing in how great Dark Souls one was, and they never really went into Dark Souls 2 with an open mind. You know what I mean? I think Sekiro kind of had that feeling with people. I think like a few games are like that when it comes to like what From Software usually does.
Hmm.
Um, I don't think Dark Souls 2 by any means to me it's probably like one of my favorites. Like I
Yeah.
love running Dark Souls 2. Sometimes I just like start up Dark Souls 2 and just to run through Majula because I love that area so much. I don't know why I just do.
Mm,
Um at the same time, I completely understand why people would pick like Bloodborne or Dark Souls or even Dark Souls 3 over it. Like I get it. You know what
right.
I mean? Like I get where you're coming from. I don't know. I think they went the right approach with Dark Souls 2. I think they did the right thing with Bloodborne and making it its own little thing.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. The future will tell where they're gonna go from it. All I know is From Software I trust. So just shut up and take my money.
Yeah.
I
More or less.
don't give a fuck what y'all make.
Mhm. Like it's funny. I recently had this conversation that when Elden Ring comes out, just I don't exist for a good solid week. Just you don't
Nope.
know me. You ain't heard of or you ain't worried about me. Just I'm gonna be sitting here in my little cave with fucking Elden Ring, and that's what I'm gonna do.
Fucking weak, dude. I mean, you need to bump those numbers up, man. Those are rookie numbers.
Hey,
I'm gonna be away for a fucking month, son. Wait till I get my hands on a PS5 and Demon Souls. Like that's gonna be like once I get my hands on that, it's the same thing. Like, oh, I haven't heard from Andrew. What's he doing? You know what he's doing. Fucking playing Demon Souls.
hey, if I had a month to burn on that shit, I would. But I got a lot of kids to take care of.
Yeah. That's understandable.
All right.
Sadly, we all have lives to live.
Unfortunately.
Yes. And if we don't live those lives, then we can't have the shit that we want to play video games. So
Yep. Gotta lay the
do what we
found
got to
or
do.
the
Yep.
fundaments.
Yeah, for real. We don't. I back to the
Yeah.
Dark Souls
Getting
Bloodborne
back on
debate here.
topic.
Yes. All right. There's another aspect of why I thought that Dark Souls deserves that number one spot over Bloodborne, and that to me, I think you're going to have a little bit of debate here. To me, it's the
Mm.
lore. I think the lore is 10 times better, and not only okay, not 10 times better, at least 2 times better, 2 times better than it is in the Bloodborne. I think Bloodborne's got cool, like original kind of like lore to it, and like I said, if you like the 1880s London kind of atmosphere, I can get why you like it. But to me, it's not nearly as epic as Dark Souls.
You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and give that one to you. Dark Souls does have just a lot more. It's got a lot more going on in it, and it's got more interesting lore. Like that's when it comes to Bloodborne, we kind of know, the characters, we know their motivations, we know what the fuck went on. And Dark Souls, like it wasn't until the Earthen Ring DLC and still a lot of work after that we kind of had like the full picture of Dark Souls. But on a lore aspect, yeah, I will give you that Dark Souls is better than Bloodborne. But in everything else, I'm still saying Bloodborne.
Ding.
Hey, you got one
Well,
vote out of.
but yeah, no, don't get me wrong, dude. Like the Bloodborne's lore is dope as fuck. Like I'm
Mhm.
not I'm not gonna bash it, but I'm just saying like one of the reasons why I think the lore of Dark Souls is better is because like it's more of like like I said, it's like more epic. It's more of like, ultimate good versus trying to like restart the world. As to Bloodborne, it just feels like you're in like a fuzzy fucking dream.
Mm,
You know what I mean? It's cool, but it's just like it's kind of like you're like, yo, what would you rather watch? You rather watch 300 or Inception? You're like,
right.
Inception's good and all, but I'm watching fucking 300. I mean, I want to see the epic shit.
Well, here's a point in the conversation. I think Bloodborne is inheritive or inherently derivative in its own way. Like Bloodborne is H.P. Lovecraft. Let's put it that way.
Yeah,
Whereas um, Dark Souls, I mean, yes, it does follow the monomyth. It does, it hits certain beats in its storyline. But as far as the actual overall narrative, it's a lot more unique.
yeah, yeah. 100% agree with that. Well, here's another one. I'll give you another one why I think Dark Souls is better than Bloodborne. One that you
Mhm.
probably won't at home. I think that the in Dark Souls, like I just think it was more how do you say what's the working word I'm looking for? I don't know,
Do, do,
fucking
do,
yeah,
do,
yeah,
do,
yeah.
do,
Fuck you, man.
do.
I'm pulling at you right over here.
Mm,
No, I think it's just well, I don't know. Let's just fuck it. I think Angel had a brain fart kind of
eh,
thing. Yeah, if you could cut that out, that'd be great.
yeah, nope, we're leaving it in now. Vengeance shall be mine.
That's pretty fucked up, man. Is
Hey,
that how
you
you
want?
get your points in? Is there some fucking like little loopholes like that?
I'm just saying, you want to win in some points. Well, guess what? I'm going to win in others.
Dude, I don't know. It's kind of like 5-0 over here.
Not really.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
No, I
I
gave you
I
some
just felt
points,
like I've
but
had a lot more. What's that?
I gave you some points, but I mean, let's face it, on the grand scheme of things, I remained entirely unconvinced by your arguments.
Well, I'm not trying to convince you.
Well,
I'm
you
trying to
should be
convince
trying
other
to.
people out there.
If
I
you're
don't
trying to
know. Why would
convince
I?
me, you're trying to convince other people. Let's face it. Do you know of someone who's going to be as much of a dick about things as me?
Well, that's the point. Why would I? I know because I know you. That's the reason why. Like, if I'm like trying to talk to a brick wall, talking to you is like kind of talking to like a fence, like a steel wall.
Uh,
They try to convince you. I'm just trying to get somebody in the comment section to be like Andrew one. That's it. That's all I want. My burner account will do it.
Gee, great, thanks. Like and
Yes,
subscribe.
yes. All right. Well, think it's about time that aren't you fucking wrapping up?
Yeah, that is my job. But I would like to point out that I think the whole Dark Soul or any one of these debates really we could have gone into, but I would definitely like us to do a more structured, more on point debate about a given thing. And I think Dark Souls versus Bloodborne would probably be the best one that we could do. But anyway, yeah, this is all we've got for today. Thank you for following us through our kind of more one of our more meandering topics, and it's fun to argue about it, and I would definitely like to do more of that. But again, thank you for listening. Hey, like, comment, subscribe to us if you like. It does help out the channel, and I guess the only thing I left to say is be kind to one another, because this is all we got.
Come on, 2021.
We hope.